Now let's go to Anthony Ramirez, who's a lawyer up in the Phoenix area. And apparently he's the lawyer for the restaurant owner out in Wickenburg. And I originally saw Anthony on social media put down basically out there, any business that wants to open, you're nervous, contact me. Anthony, that was you. Why did you do that?
So, thanks for having me, by the way. I appreciate you having me on. The reason that I did that and have put myself out there is because I think it's very important for the states to know that, during this emergency that we're having, this pandemic, it's important for the states to remember that we don't abandon all of our freedoms in times of emergency. We just don't. And I think that, business owners have done what they were supposed to do to help us flatten the curve, if you will. And they've changed the game on us. So now they need to, there's going to be those owners out there that need to do what they need to do to take care of their families.
Amen. What do you think, by the way, of Doug Ducey threatening to throw business owners in jail, fine them, take away their liquor license if that's the kind of line of work they do, if they defy his order?
So let me drill down on that and be real specific. So, because I don't know, I'm not a lawyer that would deal with liquor licenses and things like that. So I don't know what he can actually do. I thought that during his press conference, he said the fine will be for disobeying this order will be $2,500. Now, the statute that is enumerated in the order, it is classified as a class 1 misdemeanor. A violation of it is a class 1 misdemeanor. Now, the maximum fine for that is $2,500. That's the maximum. In all of the criminal cases that I've defended and that I've seen, okay, is it possible to get a $2,500 fine? Yes. I've never seen it happen. Now, that doesn't mean that it could happen, but to come out of the gate and tell business owners who, you're going to be criminalizing business owners for simply operating their business, to tell them that they're going to get the maximum fine for doing that, I think is disingenuous. I think it was fear-mongering, and it was very disappointing to me because, anybody out there that's in the legal business knows that, it's very rare to get the maximum fine.
Before we get to the whole Wickenburg situation, and you were up there, I'm just curious, as a lawyer, do you think the governor even has the power to do what he's doing, to basically just say, I order all these business closed, and if you violate this, you're gonna get arrested or cited or anything like that?
Well, he is the governor of the state. I think we're seeing that in all 50 states. The governors do have the authority to issue executive orders, and executive orders do carry the force of law. I think the question is that order constitutionally permissible? Is it legal? And, my opinion in this is that because it's being applied vaguely and in an overbroad manner, that it's not. I don't think it holds water. However, it is an executive order. So, business owners need to be aware of that if they take steps to take care of their families. It might put them in a situation where they have to do a little dance with the governor.
Anthony Ramirez, a lawyer up in the Phoenix area, is on KNST AM 790. Before we get to the Wickenburg owner, since you said that, I'm just curious, and we talked off the air briefly about the situation in Florida, and I mentioned in the last hour, where a lawyer who's also a state lawmaker there, Republican, defended a business owner. He sells comic books, and he was doing it curbside, and he was warned and arrested for keeping his business open because the government there in Florida deemed it non-essential. And then, so he was arrested just for doing his job, right? And it turns out that a judge dismissed it, said there's nothing there. If God forbid somebody's arrested here as a business owner here in Arizona, do you see the same kind of situation happening here?
So I think it can happen. So what I understand about the Florida situation, I'm not familiar with the case, but I am familiar with the minute entry that was put out by the judge. And the way that I read that minute entry was that the local prosecutor reviewed the information that was submitted to them for prosecution and decided that there was nothing there and didn't go forward. So because there was a case that had been initiated in court, the judge had to put a minute entry out, and what they did was dismiss the charges. Now, do I think that should happen here? I think it should happen here. And I think that in the case of Miss Thompson up in Wickenburg and anybody else that gets cited or arrested, I think that their case would obviously be reviewed by a prosecutor, and I think that the right thing for the prosecutors to do would be to do exactly what they did in Florida, would be to dismiss that and not proceed with this.
Well, let's talk about the restaurant owner, the Horseshoe Cafe up in Wickenburg, and she's got a lot of attention, and looks like a lot of people showed up to the restaurant. You were there with her. Take me through it. Early in the morning, is that when police from Wickenburg showed up and state troopers showed up and said, you need to close your restaurant?
So the way that went down is this. So on Thursday, I was not there. So apparently sometime on Thursday morning, I think it was about 8:30, officers of the Wickenburg Police Department went into her store and delivered to her a copy of the executive order and, advised her that, she was in violation, or asked her if she knew if she was in violation, and just told her to comply with it. Okay. And then I think Mark Lamb had talked about that. I heard him last week, and he's been telling people, our deputies are advising people to just, of the order, and not really taking any other enforcement action. So I think that that's what happened. Well, as you can imagine, that she's a small business owner. She panicked. She got nervous. So I got a call that afternoon. I went out there late Thursday afternoon, and just coincidentally, there was a Phoenix news station that was out there. So her, myself, and another business owner, she spoke with the press, and I think that maybe you saw it on the news. But we did that.
Fox 10.
I went out there. This was Friday, excuse me. On Saturday, I drove back out there because I told her that I was going to come, be a patron of her business and have some food, which, frankly, everybody, you have to go out there because it's great. It's a great restaurant. But there was literally 100 people out front waiting to get in. They ran out of food because they didn't expect that big of a crowd to show up. It was really a heartwarming thing. Anyway, real quick, while I was there, I was in the store a couple of doors down, Trader Joe's, talking with the other lady that we had been with the day before, and the Wickenburg police showed up again. And she expected them to come into her store, and so I was ready to speak to them for her. They walked right by her door. I expected them to keep heading down the sidewalk to Deb's store because, as I mentioned, she had 100 people hanging out outside. They instead turned into the coffee shop right in between both of their stores and spoke to the gentleman that was not on television with these two ladies saying that they are going to stand up for their rights. So he went in there, delivered him a copy of the order. I saw this happen. Very politely, advised him of the order and went to walk out of the store. I expected him to take a left and head toward the Horseshoe Cafe, and he instead took a right, got back into his patrol car, and drove off. So, we didn't know why they didn't visit both of those two ladies. We think that it was because they made it known publicly that they were willing to stand up for their rights. And I hope that that's true.
Wow, that's
really the whole story is what happened.
Yeah. Wow, that's remarkable. So she expected to get arrested. Now, were DPS there as well, or was it just the local police?
No, it was just the Wickenburg police.
Okay.
And I know that the chief of police there in Wickenburg has said that he's taking the same stance as Mark Lamb. So, credit to him. I think what business owners need to be aware of, and I talked to a lady in Goodyear yesterday that wants to open up today and was asking me questions. It's real important to understand that, at least here, I'm in Maricopa County. And in Maricopa County, I don't believe that Sheriff Penzone has come out and said one way or another whether or not he's going to enforce it, although I know that his deputies did cite someone last week. So what the people need to understand is that county sheriffs can enforce this, and so can the Arizona Department of Public Safety. Ducey, if you wanted to, could engage DPS to enforce this, whether or not Mark Lamb or any other sheriff that doesn't want to enforce his order, he can do that. He can engage the DPS to do that for him. So they need to be aware of that.
Now, and by the way, this is Anthony Ramirez, an attorney up in the Phoenix area on KNST AM 790. If someone is arrested, if someone is cited, you said being cited is the same as being arrested, right? That's what you said?
That's correct.
Okay. So if someone is arrested, they could be scared about that. But do you think, as a lawyer, I'm just curious, that they could then sue that their civil rights have been violated, and it might take a while, but they could come out pretty victorious?
So in theory, yes, right? And I can't ever comment as to whether or not somebody's going to be victorious, because then I'd be deciding what a jury would do, right? I can't ever guarantee that. But what I can tell you is that, we fight pretty hard at our firm. And I can tell you that when someone does get arrested, I do, the civil rights cases that I take are really geared toward excessive force. So when the police make an arrest, they use excessive force, or they unfortunately kill someone. I'll take those cases from time to time. And, I'm going to say that I am a former police officer. I support law enforcement, but I take those cases when something's been done inappropriately. So why am I telling you that? Because if someone is killed or has excessive force used against them during an arrest, that's considered or could be considered an unreasonable seizure in violation of the Constitution. Okay, so we can bring a claim against that officer and the municipality, okay, a city, under Section 42, Section 1983 of the United States Code. Okay, now the theory that we're investigating, that we're researching right now, is if you were taking a business owner who is operating an otherwise legal business, okay, and are you there? Oh,
yeah, I'm
operating
here.
an otherwise legal business, and you arrest them, okay, or cite them criminally for a violation of a law, because it's being applied vaguely and it's overbroad, and in my opinion, their constitutional rights are being violated, we are considering that the same as it's an unreasonable seizure. So, yeah, we think that there would be some viability in bringing that on behalf of the business owner. Now, we're still researching it. It hasn't happened yet, thank God. Listen, the threat is real. We will seriously consider and investigate bringing these charges and this claim, in addition to defending the business owner against the criminal charge. So, if municipalities want to go down that road, well, let them. But we're not going down. These business owners are not going down without a fight.
So if someone listening down here in southern Arizona, in Marana, in Tucson, there have been salon owners that have contacted me. Marana said, we've been told by the Marana PD we need to shut down and shut down now. The mayor here is a nut. The police chief's a nut in Tucson. If they are told to shut down and forcibly shut down, should they contact you?
Yeah, I put it out there for anybody to contact me. I was playing Frisbee in a park with my daughter last night about 6 o'clock, and I took a call from that salon owner in Goodyear that I was telling you about. And I'll speak to them anytime, anywhere about what's going on and allay their fears. Now, I can't tell them that they're not going to get cited, that they're not going to get arrested. I just can't do that. But we will. And if they do get cited and they want to, have us represent them, we're happy to do that as well.
Okay. So if anybody has any questions, they can call you and find out if there's, get advice, let's just say, or ask questions and maybe get some answers.
Absolutely. I hope that they do.
And your firm is Warnock McKinley Law. That's what it is. If you want to give out a website, feel free. A phone number, you feel free, man.
Sure. Our phone number is 602-381-6669. That's our phone number, and they can call and they can ask for Anthony Ramirez. And if I'm available, I'll take the call. If not, leave a message, and I will call you back, and you will speak to me.
Anthony, thank you so much for the time and just the information. I appreciate it. Have a great day, man.
Hey, you too. Take care.